this autoimmune disease, it made me really question God and question whether he loved me. Why was he doing this to me? Why was he causing me to be in so much pain? Just all these different emotions. Like, I was angry with God. I questioned him. I didn't understand him. Like, it was just so many things. This is my testimony video, so we're just gonna hop right into it. And so when I decided to truly be on fire for Jesus, be intentional about trying to grow an intimate relationship with him, it was when, honestly, it was after college. It was after I had got married, after I had both my children, because even before then, I would I knew God was real. I believed in God, but to be completely honest, I was still living life for myself. I was still sinning. I mean, I still sin now, but I was intentionally sinning, you know, doing things I wasn't supposed to do, making very poor decisions, hanging around people I shouldn't have been hanging around, indulging in things that I knew was not good for me. I knew that was not of God, but I decided to make the shift and really just be on fire for Jesus. Honestly, it was the influence of my sister. She went to Lipscomb University, and they would have Bible as part of their curriculum. And so she would come back and share things, that she learned in Bible and things of that nature. And so it's just like planting those seeds. And then one time well, it wasn't one time, she began like a sermon series, but it was this one particular sermon where it just like hit home for me. And I just started like diving in. I have rheumatoid arthritis. And so one day I had a very bad flare up, and I was just like, Lord, I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, my body's hurting. I got this going on. I got that going on. Like, God, I need your help. I need your direction. And ever since that day, it's like I've just been on the fast track to like growing closer with God, trying to be intentional about developing an intimate relationship with him, trying to be intentional about teaching my kids. Like, it's so ingrained in them that they won't be as far away from God as I was. I felt like I had to, I don't know, just learn a lot for myself and just really start from the very beginning. And I don't want my kids to have to start from the very beginning. And so already I feel a shift in the way my life is going. Like, just the whole trajectory that me and my family are on is still a heavy weight to bear. And there's still a lot of setbacks, but I just look at it through a different set of lens because I have more faith and I have more of a foundation, and I know the things that God has said about me, and I know the promises he has made for my life. And because I have that to fall back on, I know that the struggle that I'm going through and the struggles that will come in the future will only be temporary. And so, to kind of give you guys more context about me and my life up to this point, college, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and that was a very like, I don't know, that kind of just rocked me because I had never had any type of ailment or like sickness up until that point. Um, I grew up very athletic, very into sports, very physically strong, and strong-willed, honestly. And to be diagnosed with something as debilitating as rheumatoid arthritis, it was just like, bro, like, there's no way. Like, me, it began with just like pain in my fingers, and then went, it just spread to other places. And so, there would be days in school where I literally could not get out of the bed. It took so much effort and energy just to turn a doorknob, just to hold my toothbrush to brush my teeth, just to get up and walk to the bathroom. It just felt just like a, I don't know how to describe, just like a aching, intense, piercing pain from like all my joints, just everywhere. So I had saw a doctor while I was at school. Then when I came back home, I went to go see another doctor, and they prescribed me some medicine, and that helped, mask the symptoms. And so I was good for a while. Um, During that time, me and my boyfriend, who is now my husband, we were dating, and he knew about what I was dealing with. But like I said, it was manageable. I didn't have any like really bad flare-ups, and I was able to do majority of the things that I used to be able to do. Then while I was still in school, I got pregnant with my first baby. Um, I got pregnant during the summer, yeah, and I had a year left. I had 3 more semesters to go before I was done with school. So come February 10th, I gave birth on Friday, and then that Monday I went back to class because there was they weren't going to have any reason to try and say that I won't be able to graduate or be able to finish or anything, because I was already determined that, like, okay, I'm ready to be done with school. Um, I went to school for medical laboratory science, and that program is pretty intensive, and I mean it's a lot. And so I had took time off of school because one, I couldn't afford to pay for it, and for two, I was able to like do some shadowing and get to work in actual laboratory. Um, and so when I decided to go back and just be like, okay, we got to knock this out and be done, I ended up getting pregnant. And it's like, okay, I knew I was determined before, but now more than ever, I was like, I got this little baby on the way. I'm even more determined, like, we got to be done. There is no like repeating the class, spreading the classes out, no. We trying to get everything, as many classes as I could take a semester. That's what I was doing. So summer wasn't that bad. I really wasn't showing that much, but come fall, everybody knew I was pregnant. I know there was people talking about me and things, but I didn't care. Like, I was going to class with a big old belly, and it was like, yeah, we about to knock this out. I do appreciate my friends so much that were so encouraging and helpful to me during that process. Like, they supported me. Like, they like, girl, you're gonna be fine, like, you're gonna be able to finish, just uplifting and encouraging. I love them, and we are still friends to this day. But yeah, I just appreciate everybody that was in my circle and that showed me love and that was supportive of me during that time, because it was very challenging. So come February, I give birth on Friday. I go back to class on Monday, and I only had March, April, May, like 2.5 months left to go before I was able to graduate. And so we did it. And I say we because it took a village. My mom helped me. She came down and stayed with me and watched the baby while I went to class. And I would come back, feed her, spend time with her. Still had to study, still had to finish my assignments and stuff like that. So I couldn't have did any of it without my mom, without my close friends who showed up for me, was there whenever I needed them for support. Like, they drove me to doctor's appointments. They would help out with the baby. They would help with just anything I needed. They was always there for me, like, always. And even like their family, like, I was really blessed and fortunate to have such a good support system and so many people that loved me and my new family. And so anyway, I finished. I graduated Auburn University. Then I had to do an internship and a clinical rotation, and that took a year. So during that time, I would work on the weekends as a lab assistant for East Alabama Medical Center. And the weekends that I was not working, I would be driving back home to Georgia to go be with my baby. And so it was a very stressful time because there was not much sleep, there wasn't much anything. Oh, and by the way, during that time, me and my then boyfriend did get married. We got married 2 days before I gave birth. Our baby came early. She was supposed to be born on the 20th, but she came on the 10th. And so we feel like God waited for us to tie the knot before she came. And so 2 days after we went to the courthouse and got married, our baby was born. And after that, we were just like in grind mode. It was like we really didn't have time to enjoy being newlyweds or just enjoy being a couple, before we started our family. And before that's been a challenge, being young parents, being a young couple. Yeah, that's been a challenge, but I'm thankful because God's timing is always right, and where there is a will, there is a way, and God has worked it out for us since the very beginning. And I'm proud to say me and my husband have been married for 7 years, and we have 2 beautiful children. And I don't know, I'm just so thankful. And it's like, looking back, it was like I didn't know how I was going to get through that time with having to finish school and being a new mom and a new wife and all these different titles that I now have. I didn't know how I was going to figure it out, but by the grace of God, everything had worked out and everything is working out. And so anyway, I finished the internship, finished the clinical rotation, and then I worked there for a year at East Alabama Medical Center. And then during that year, I got pregnant with, actually, we had our wedding ceremony. So during that time, we had our actual wedding ceremony with our friends and family, had the reception and all that. And then shortly after, I find out I'm pregnant. And so we were expecting our second child, and I gave birth to her October 2019. And so she was born like literally right before COVID hit. And so being stuck in the house and not being outside much and stuff, it was, I don't know, it was challenging, but I still welcomed it because the job that my husband had at the time, he had to be away quite a bit. And so because they scaled things back with his job and he didn't have to necessarily be at the facility, we got to spend a lot more family time together. And I feel like it worked out for the best. And so now I still deal with rheumatoid arthritis a lot. Like, I'm still finding different ways to try to manage and cope with my symptoms, and I'm trying to find holistic and natural ways to combat all of it, because I do not want to be on this medication for the rest of my life. And I know that God's going to work it out. I know that he has a plan for me, and I know that the devil is just trying really hard to try to distract me and to try to make me feel as though this is as good as life is going to get for me. But I know that's not true. And so yeah, I've been trying to like change my diet and implement different natural things to help improve my state of being. And I have to say that I have the best husband. Like, anytime I talk about him, especially in regards to my health, I get emotional, because how many men is going, like, I have the best husband. This man will help prepare my lunch for work. He will drive me to work if I need him to. He helps me get dressed if I'm not able to do it by myself. He helps out with just anything I need from him. And it's like I don't even have to ask, like, he is truly a 100% hands-on dad. Like, when it comes to these babies, like, there's nothing that he wouldn't do. And I don't even have to ask, like, he just does, And he's just he's just he just does. And I mean, there are days where this man has carried me from the car and brought me in the house. There are days this man, he will massage my feet for me without me even having to ask. He'll help me, just whatever it is I need, he will do it for me. He's changed his diet to like we've to, like I was saying, about implementing more like organically grown foods. Basically anything that grows straight out the ground, that's what I need to eat. Like, I need to pick it up out the ground and just eat it. Like, that's what I need to do. So anyway, like, he'll find different things. He'll be like, oh babe, you know, I was reading up on this and I think this might help or whatever. He'll be like, come on, we can do it together. Like, he doesn't make me feel like I have to carry this burden alone. And I'm just so appreciative. I am just so appreciative of this man, of his heart, of his leadership, of how nurturing he is, of how just incredible he is to me and to our girls. He's always supported me and always made sure that I was straight. And because of who he is, he makes me want to be the best wife that I can, you know. And I'm just so thankful for him. It's okay, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I wanted to start making YouTube videos to help encourage other people that might be struggling with rheumatoid arthritis or might be struggling with their walk with Christ, because having this autoimmune disease, it made me really question God and question whether he loved me. You know, why was he doing this to me? Why was he causing me to be in so much pain? You know, just all these different emotions. Like, I was angry with God. I questioned him. I didn't understand him. Like, it was just so many things. And I was just like, okay. I felt like I was at rock bottom at one point. He was like, well, and I was like, well, girl, ain't nowhere left to go but up. So you might as well pick up this Bible and start reading, like, what's in it. Like, find out what God really says, and the way he says it really, and the way that he says that things should be. And I needed to, like, surround myself with more people that spoke about the word and spoke about God, and, you know, just had positive and encouraging things to say. So that's what I started doing. And once I started doing that, I was no longer angry. I was no longer mad. I started to understand that God didn't cause this. God wants to prosper you and not to harm you. You know, God is good and righteous and all these things. And then just learning about the Bible, learning about God and all these things, I realized that sin is the reason for all these negative things in this world, like the sickness, the natural disasters, the everything. And so, you know, as you read, you learn, you know, and as you learn, you start to make improvements to your life. And so the biggest improvement, the biggest asset to my life has been the fact that I have found the Lord and that I am actively pursuing him and wanting to grow my relationship with him. I feel like that pretty much summed it up, I think. But essentially, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis in college, and that really pushed me to find faith and to find God, because I was confused as to why this was happening to me. And I blamed God, and I was angry with him for a long time until I started reading his word, listening to sermons, surrounding myself with people that were further along in their faith journey than I was. And I started to get insight and clarity on a lot of things in my life. But thankfully, I have an amazing support system, and I have so many people that love me. And this is just a daily journey. And I know the promises God has made for my life, and I know that I'm going to thrive, and that things are only going to go up from here. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.